If you're watching this video, it's probably due to the fact that you are interested in Nei Gong. And Nei Gong is an amazing practice for the accumulation of energy, but it also has some big dangers if we want to grow spiritually as human beings. By the word spiritual, I mean that we have some sort of interest in understanding the true nature of ourselves, not just the mind conditionings and our body, but go a bit beyond that and discover and realize something which is actually quite simple, but due to all the mystical literature entertainment that we have available, it becomes a quite complex topic, especially because also nowadays everybody talks about it, sometimes even without grasping the simplicity of it. So I want to warn practitioner, which is actually might sound counterintuitive because I practice Nei Qigong, which is a form of Nei Gong, a practice of accumulation of energy, from jumping into this kind of path, at least without having developed the right kind of approach and attitude towards it. Nei Gong can be dangerous for two main reasons. One of them could be our health, actually. It is not uncommon that people contact me with some kind of doubt about the safety of the work that we are doing, because maybe they have researched Mo Pai, which was a system developed by Jiaoshi, a teacher, I think, from Java, right? There was a book, Magus of Java, talking about it, which actually I read, and not all of it, because at some point I felt bored. There was so much, in my opinion, fantasy about these practices that they really become unbearable at a certain stage. But many people approach Nei Gong due to the fact that they found out about this Mo Pai system. So the first question that I usually get from this kind of people is it safe to do Nei Qigong? And my answer is yes, it's quite safe, especially because it's done progressively and the path is quite safe, it really works. But many people, as far as understood, have experienced problems due to the fact also that they research this kind of Mo Pai system, and I don't know where it is available outside because I never researched, honestly, but they start to practice something on their own without guidance, without a teacher, without somebody who can help them verify whether they're doing the right thing or not. And it is easy actually to screw up the body because it is a very complex mechanism. So if we don't do the right thing, we might get the wrong results. So one first warning that I feel to give outside to people is no practicing these practices on their own, just by picking up things on YouTube or some kind of website and trying to do work for themselves. It's actually quite dangerous. I think it can really bring some big side effects on our health. And the other reason is more close to me, because the goal, the reason why I started to practice Nei Qigong was actually because I was interested in growing as a human being. And at that time I was practicing Buddhism with a teacher, Tantric Buddhism, whatever that word might mean nowadays, which is quite confused. I don't want to go into that now. But at some point I met my teacher, Shifu Valente. I realized that I didn't know how to use the body, and I felt quite uncomfortable in being a spiritual seeker, reciting mantra and visualizing Buddhas, while at the same time I was in a way available, aware of how my body was operating and the way that I could use it. That's why I started. So the path of Nei Gong can be quite dangerous in my opinion, because it is for this kind of seekers, because it's not a path where we start from the investigation of ourselves first, so who we are. It is a path where most of the time we bring our expectation, goals of achieving some kind of superpowers, ideas about being an enlightened being with great capabilities, which actually doesn't work like that. Doesn't mean that you can do a qi emission and you are an enlightened being. No, you just have some kind of proficiency in a particular field, because certain practices that really work, So if you are consistent and dedicated, you will get there eventually. But the reason why I say that the path of Nei Gong can be dangerous is actually because, as I said, we bring ourselves into the path, our identity, our ideas, our expectations, our aspirations, all things that belong to a very superficial manifestation of consciousness, which is the human being, with his mind or her mind. So we jump into a kind of work which is quite powerful and can actually be very beneficial, in my opinion, because growing the vital energy to a certain degree and having a healthy and strong body can really provide a platform for exploring life in a way that I didn't know was possible. And also entering in contact with subtle energies can really expand our possibilities of life as human beings. So we really discover something more. But at the same time, the path doesn't ensure our personal growth as human beings. We might be able to do FIG and being obsessed and pervaded by disturbing emotions such as envy, jealousy, competition. The path of Nei Gong can be actually quite dangerous for that, because our identity might become bigger and bigger. We might become even unbearable human beings because we have certain kind of capabilities in life. So we have to understand that when we go into Nei Gong path, in my opinion, if we really want to get the benefit that growing vital energy implies, we have to work a little bit on ourselves first, or at the same time on the way. So understanding that even the perception of energy belongs to the perceived, what it is perceived in life. But all the perceptions and experiences, they are temporary. So said this, it means in one sense they are ultimately true. They don't stay with us all the time. While in other kind of approaches of personal growth, such as self-inquiring, Advaita Vedanta, Dzogchen, let's say, which is a form of Buddhism, we try to explore what it is consistent, what it is always there, who is really behind our eyes looking, what it is that presence, what it is that possibility available. So the Nei Gong, Nei Qigong path is an incredible possibility, because pairing this kind of approach to the system together with the growth of vital energy, it is really powerful. It's like having a bright lamp that can really shine on what it is experiencing in life. So it is easy to see what it is true and not true in one sense. But at the same time, it requires some kind of internal investigation, which at the beginning might start intellectually, like studying those kind of systems that I mentioned, self-inquiring, Advaita Vedanta, and there are been in life great teachers about these kind of approaches. But at the same time, this natural and simple recognition of the natural state of the mind, which is the underlying consciousness, before it gets identified with the movement of thinking and the perceptions and the sensations of life, it becomes a really vital thing to do. And pairing the growth in the vital energy with this kind of understanding, it's a really powerful thing to do. In one sense, Nei Qigong, and I presume any serious Nei Gong practice, should take us to the destination of these approaches. What I'm trying to say is that what maybe is attempted to be achieved or understood through intellectual investigation can also be experienced and lived firsthand through some kind of Nei Gong practice. And this could happen quite easily, because when we practice Qigong, Nei Gong, whatever, technically, if we have the right attitude, which is being totally empty and detached from the result without making up things with our mind, such as sensations of energy and understanding of yin, yang, and shen, qi, and jin, all those kind of concepts. If we leave everything aside and we do serious work every day, totally empty, totally new every day, that kind of natural observation and presence of life might unfold naturally for us. And we might understand actually that is the only thing that stays, and that is really the only ground from all the other experiences are springing. But it is not sure for people to realize and understand that without a framework, like an explanation that could point into that kind of simple, very simple understanding. The understanding of something ever present, which doesn't change really in time, which is not affected by time, which is free from time, because time is a psychological movement, whether we go in the past, in the future, even in the anxious experience of the present. But it's not something related to that thing that I don't like to use concept by saying that kind of pure awareness, pure consciousness, which is at the base. Which of course to work in our practice by engaging that level of ourself, we really need to get rid of ourself, because ourself as identity cannot exist into that space. So if we bring in our qigong practice, Nei Gong practice, whatever it is, our expectation, our interpretation of the sensations that we are experiencing, our intellectual concept, our mystical expectation and journeys that we want to take, qigong, Nei Gong on its own won't be able to open that door for us. That's why I think it really needs to be paired with some kind of deeper understanding. Because let's face it, you can start to practice Nei Gong, you can be great at it. You might be able to do the fragmented and have special abilities for other people, which are actually within the human potential. And at the beginning that was the kind of drive that brought you to practice. But I will tell you 100% that even though you will be able to do such things, you will never feel satisfied. Even if you are able to make a mountain disappear just by looking at it, you won't be satisfied. Even if you can go to the moon at that stage by flying from here to there in 2 seconds, you won't be satisfied. So anything that belongs to the mind field, anything that belongs even to the energy sensations, it's still a temporary experience of life. At the same time, working with this level of reality, or the energy level, can really provide an immense boost for our development of presence, ultimately for our freedom from our conditioning, from this life that goes ups and downs and things go our way, the other way, upset and happy and sad and all this kind of superficial movement, which are fine. They can be lived, they can be there, but they can be experienced pretty much in a different way. So because my approach to Nei Qigong and Nei Gong in general is not actually to become Superman, although when you practice advanced programs you will feel surprised all the time of how things can get. But my approach is actually to be free, and I wish to have students, that's why I push sometimes people that are aiming to the same destinations, which is actually the best way of practicing Nei Gong, because having that kind of detachment from the practice itself, so going beyond the system actually, trying to get to the enlightened goal, or whatever we want to call presence, whatever you want to call human being, correct functioning, this kind of way of being, is my goal, and I hope everybody can use that kind of approach, because even the energy practice becomes super powerful. Because the contracted activity of the mind, of the ego, the identification is not there anymore. So entering in touch with something bigger and actually moving quite fast in the path, it's a natural thing. And I was told by Shifu in the past that I was moving quite fast, not because I'm special, maybe because I was coming from a kind of background in working with myself and understanding with the Buddhist practices, understanding a little bit my identity and what was really that approach, and my always what it has been my main interest in life, going deeper into the nature of reality by exploring other system, other kind of teaching, but not as somebody who goes to schools and learn things. No, as somebody who is exposed to an idea, to a concept, to a practice, and skeptically applies it. Skeptically means neither good or bad, with a good or bad approach, applies it if he sees the results. So that was my kind of approach towards the energy practice, towards myself as a human being. And I hope that people who could start the Nei Gong path or Nei Qigong path could be very much aware of the dangers, which could be actually health if you do it on your own, if you try to make things up. Sometimes people want to jump to advanced programs because they want to go into superpower mode. Silly thing to do for several reasons. So I hope that you can have a better perspective of, especially if you are somebody interested in growing as a human being and be free from yourself and from life to a certain extent, to develop the right approach, the right kind of vision that could merge together with a detached energy practice and could really bring many surprises in your life. So I hope it was useful, this video, and if you feel that you have a specific topic that you want me to discuss here together, please do that, comment below, and I will try to make a video if I think that can be useful to many people.